What up, all? It's Mick. Uh, so I'm just gonna start this video out really quick by throwing a quick introduction about the circumstances of this video. I've recorded it twice, and the first time I had to redo it because I didn't have my mic on. The second time, it processed all the way through, but then the internet just cut out on me just all of a sudden. And so this is my third time doing this vid. Um, and if you guys have ever done that before, you understand. It's just like a pain in the ass to have to deal with. So, um, I'm going to try and make this video as short as possible. And of course, I've already added an extra 36 to the time. But starting from here, it's going to be quick. And what I'm making this video on is based on an epiphany I had while brushing my teeth on the way to bed. It's already 12 o'clock over here. I'm tired. I got to go to work tomorrow. Probably got to wake up at 5. I won't probably wake up till 7. Just sucks. But the concept that the epiphany that I had was actually as a result of going to church today. And well, not church, but like a church life groups thing. Just something to do down here in Louisiana. And if you've ever talked with me in the last few months since I've been down here, you may have heard me in my random like messages that I throw out, talking about how I consider church to have some fairly decent business ethics behind it. A lot of the things that I feel church talks about can be applied to managing, or at least creating a successful business. So I've been going to church and kind of like taking in those messages, but then I've also been circumnavigating those messages to kind of relate more to video games because that's what I love. So I basically have been going to this church groups thing, this life groups thing, because as I said, it's something to do, and we're doing the 10 parables, and today was our last week. So the concept of today was like the moment your maker comes, you never know when it's going to happen, unless you're that guy who is now living in a cave or something like that, who predicted the end of the world, which, I'm still waiting for it. It's possible. But actually, what he did was actually pretty interesting, because if he is a fairly smart guy, I can easily say one way to, like, piss off the crowd, or the religious crowd anyways, is to give like these scientific facts, because that's what they're starving for, is these scientific facts of God's existence, and then to be like, these facts point to this date, and so when it doesn't happen, everyone's like super disappointed, and you probably like gain a lot more people to the anti-religious cause doing that. So if that was his goal, which I honestly think might have been, he did a pretty good job of it. But anyways, on a side note, well, on the real note, that was kind of the side note of the thing. The concept I wanted to talk about today was a verse in the Bible, Matthew 6:33, and the verse goes, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." It's kind of the English version of the whole thing. But anyways, that's the verse, and it basically talks about how the first thing that you should do when you want to be religious is to seek God and his kingdom. Once you do that, or the book says, you will receive all this other stuff, basically. And so, of course, circumnavigating that, I came back to my thought of definitives, or what is the word that I was using? Definites that I was talking about yesterday in my other video, and the concept of that video was basically saying, learn at the most fundamental level the rules that will apply to using this setup, and from there you can base your game. Your game can expand, I guess, because you understand it at that very fundamental level. And that was basically the message of that video. And then we heard this verse today, and I'm like, that really applies to this whole thing, because it says, by seeking God and his kingdom first, all of this other stuff will be given to you. And if you've talked with anybody religious, they also claim that the first thing you want to do is to understand God and his vision, and of everlasting life and all that jazz, because if you don't understand that, then you really have no founding for which to stand on in the, I guess, talks about religion, or just, you won't have that to basically base your faith off of. So they say, that's what you have to do, is you have to understand that at the most basic of levels, so that from there you can then increase in your, I guess, servitude, or religious improvement, religious journey. And how this relates is, we're here trying to get better at video games, and for a lot of us, the concept of the game is just kind of like this thing up in the air. It's not a solid object. It's kind of like condensation, and it's not something we can easily grasp onto. So the game kind of is this giant enigma. Like, well, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. But as I said in my video, by like looking at these various definitives and saying, in this situation, with this set of moves used, this is equal to this outcome right here. We've basically taken some of that like crazy like condensation, like just air around us, and condensed it to this object that we can like dunk, or like it's tangible. It's something that we can say, this will happen. And it's not just like some guess that we're doing, And the concept is, if you consider that this concept similar to that of the kingdom of heaven in this verse, then what we can say is, by understanding these concepts that I guess are the building blocks for being a better video game player, from that you gain everything. You gain crazy abilities that that the pros have. Like for instance, I was talking to my friend George, who I had a great time talking with yesterday, and one of the things I was saying is, like, how do the pros get so good at a video game so quickly? Like, I hear, isn't Daigo like playing MVC 3 this year at Evo? And I'm like, he's probably going to like take top 3, top 4 maybe. Maybe he may make it in top 8. I'm pretty sure he'll make it into the top something. And I guess by that logic, anyone makes it into the top something. But I'm giving him at least top 8 with that. But the thing is, we've been playing like Marvel for forever, and I don't know if Daigo has played Marvel vs. Capcom, but he was probably like pushed by with Mad Cats to go play, and I bet he's gonna do super well. And the thing is, like, how do they learn that? It took me 3 years to get good at Street Fighter, and my hypothesis is that they basically base their games around these definites, and they grab as much of these like air molecules and condense them into as many definites as possible, so that throughout their game they can employ these definites. And obviously they have the definites and they have the mix-up to the definites, and on and on and on. But by having these definites, they're able to then say, okay, now that I have this in place, let me go and grab this and this and this and just add it onto it. And they're able to like build this giant ball of like reality up from this enigma that is just like the video game in general, the game in general. And because of that, they're suddenly able to just take this game that's taken people years to like get to a point of just bare understanding, and made themselves like gigantic pros on the thing. And like, as it is, like, I have no, I guess, proof so far as to this claim, except working that hypothesis into my training for Evo. And so far it's been great, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm winning so much more games now based off of having these set principles by which I play. You could even then, I guess this video is rambling on a little bit, but like, if you want like further proof, consider how school teaches children anything. We start with this giant concept, which is the world at large. And then we basically home in on certain subjects, like boom, 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 automotives, math, science, art, music. These like this giant world, and suddenly we're homing in. And then once you get into that field, we home in a little bit more and a little bit more. And the concept is taking the world, this concept which is just a giant enigma, and condensing it into these objects which we can then, maybe the object itself is still an enigma in some sense, but at least it's a lot more solid of a state than just the randomness that a lot of us will be playing with in everyday life, And that's why I say, like in my last video, it's not just about playing the game, but it's about establishing these laws by which you play the game. So anyways, if nothing else, religion is good for these random tidbits of knowledge, I think, and maybe you can use it, maybe you can't. I don't know. But as I said, feel free to comment on the comment section below. Give me your thoughts, your input, anything that maybe might be relevant, not relevant, examples for it or against it, just whatever it is, because I love discussing this stuff, and I honestly think and as I guess had pointed out in my other videos, this is a concept that can be used for anything. Understanding the bare basics of a topic, I guess, is honestly what I believe to be the key in getting better at it. Anything. So, that's my ramblings for the day. Peace out, and I will have a good rest for tonight. Take it easy. Peace.